Welcome to another Drago Dog Walk Talks. It's the 24th, and God blessed Trump is just, he's, you know, the man has no feelings for people. I mean, my God, let me at least get a decent night's sleep before you start putting out a bunch of crap that I have to react to. Well, it's been a busy morning, unpacking all of Trumpisms of late. Drago. Посмотри на людей. Drago. Drago. Ну посмотри. He just doesn't want to. Look, he's upset too. He hasn't given a good night's sleep because of the Trumpisms. Where are you? Well, let's keep going, shall we? So, on this brisk but sunny day, it's like about 10 degrees outside, 11, something like that. So, can we stop pretending that we're friends and just get on with the nuclear weapons? That seems to be what Trump's latest 180, not Baerbock 360, but an actual Trump 180 has been. Not only has the God Emperor of humanity come out at the UN and lectured the peasants how things should be and how many wars he stopped, like the war between Armenia and Cambodia, and Azerbaijan and Albania, and whatever else. I'm sure the Galactic Council will be beaming down just any minute now to get Trump, the God Emperor, to make peace between whatever civilizations span the skies, because he can do that at will. I mean, he just looks at them and he says, get your asses beside each other and hug, and that's the end of that, as he described Pashinyan and Aliyev meeting. They sat across the room from each other, but I made them get closer and closer. In the end, they were hugging and kissing and butt-fucking each other. Oh, I'm sorry. Did that slip out? Yeah. Okay. Yes, occasionally I do get crude. Sorry. So yes, the Trumpisms. But now we had him lecturing the peasant vassals of humanity that gathered before the God Emperor in New York, and how wonderful he is and how inept they all are because they can't be like him, and the Europeans who really are his vassals and really are his whipping boys, that he just kicks in the square in the nads on a daily basis, and they take it in all good faith, because like a beaten wife that's just willing to commit suicide by neighbor to keep the husband there, they'll do anything. Probably because at the end they're going to need America as a place to retire once if that is, the peasants finally get around to going, I won't even say medieval, more like guillotine on them. The French have a good history of that, if it ever happens to that point. Because, the Europeans, I mean, my God, people, how many times do you have to demonstrate before you get the point? They don't give a damn. They will continue arresting you. I mean, 30 plus arrests a day for what? For posts on Facebook? For asking who the hell is Allah? And anything like that? Or for calling somebody a Muppet? Oh yeah, I watched a video of a guy getting arrested for calling somebody a Muppet. Well, consider this as free speech issues. What we can honestly say is England has a huge political prisoner issue. Huge political prisoner issue. They haven't quite gone to the epitome of the USSR. Well, the early USSR just executed people like that in the 20s. So I guess they may still get to that point. But later on, they just put them in insane asylums to re-educate them, which we probably will be getting to that very quickly in the EUSSR. But yes, England, France, Germany, they all have ever bulging political prisoner issues. I mean, let's call it what these are. This is not just a free speech crime. This is, it's a government's crime against free speech. But these are political dissidents. that have been arrested and prosecuted. By whom? By these so-called peace-loving liberal democracies, which all very quickly convert into radical autocracies, which is exactly what we have right now. Drago, иди-ка на, иди сюда. Нашел? So that's what we have right now. That's exactly what we have right now. So Trump has suddenly seen the light after some meetings with Cokehead and the Soy Boy Coke band. He's seen the light. He now understands Ukraine is going to win. And not win by the new definition of Zelensky, that is, any part of Ukraine survives as not part of Russia, or Poland, Hungary, Slovakia, Romania, but win, as in go to the 1991 borders and maybe even grab chunks of Russia. I guess they'll be marching on Moscow any day now, once they figure out how to reanimate the dead. So that's Trump saying yesterday. And when he was asked by journalists, should NATO shoot down Russian planes, said yes. And let's, honestly speaking, if a plane's actually in your airspace, that is actual airspace, not your exclusive economic zone that's otherwise known as neutral waters, that's one thing. But there's going to be a black swan event. We do understand that. They'll either fire on a Russian plane, they'll more likely fire on a Russian plane that are flying between Leningrad Oblast and Kaliningrad, the enclave, in which these three MiGs were flying too. Or when one Russian plane flies out when they try to board a Russian ship, or a ship, a non-Russian ship coming out of Russia, which has already happened. And the Russian ship and a Russian plane came out there and scared the NATO pirates off. More likely they're going to do an ambush of some kind and then claim it was in their territorial waters. They need a black swan event, obviously, and they're getting more and more desperate. And Trump has made sure this will happen, because when he was asked afterwards, as a follow-on question, would you be willing to shoot down, basically, would you be willing to shoot on Russian planes? He said, yeah, that could be a possibility. We'll see. And well, that may not be a firm, yeah, let's go start World War III and see how many Americans get to go see Allah, or I'm sorry, Bandera, or whomever else. We'll see. Which is all the positive affirmation that these people need. When Zelensky was asked then, and he said, well, I'm not going to say everything that happened, but Trump is our secret weapon. Trump is, basically, I'm paraphrasing this, of course, but the coke head has seen the light of endless rows of cocaine right up to the point where his head blows off or melts out, whatever's left of his brain. And the guy is absolutely delusional, and you just gave him the hope that he can get the Americans to die in big quantities in World War III. Yep, that's the hope. So all of you Americans listening, you're that much closer sending your sons or yourselves off to the meat grinder, if not just nuclear blasts. Because Trumpy has gone retard. Trump has turned into Biden 2.0 on a major scale. In fact, he was doing a press conference with Macron, and he said, I thought we had a deal with Putin, and he's betrayed me, basically, is what he's saying. And what Macron always warned me, and he was always right. You never had a deal with Putin. And, this is a moment, there's Russian conditions for how this ends, and then there's American delusions and European idiocies. Which one that Trump bite into? Well, I'm thinking Trump's American delusions. But there was never a deal. They never concluded a deal. Drago. Nah, Drago, nah. No. So anyways, where was I? So either Trump is seriously delusional, or he's lying, obviously. Or he's seriously delusional and he's lying. One does not necessarily exclude the other. But that's what we've got right now. So Trump is now really angry at Putin because Putin betrayed Trump. That's his latest message. Putin has betrayed Trump because they had a deal, the art of the deal, the great deal maker who makes all the greatest deals, and Putin just betrayed that deal. I'm not sure Vladimir Vladimirovich even knew they had a deal. I'm pretty sure he didn't, because Trump absolutely did nothing for that deal. But there you go. There you go. But the point is, so the soy boys are all cokeheads, obviously, and the big cokehead himself, the cocaine goblin. They have all been now given a hope. There's a Russian saying, "Надежда умирает последняя." Hope dies last. So by the way, if you're ever in a horror movie and you have somebody by the name of Hope, go sacrifice them first, if that saying holds. But hope dies last. You know, just like the Nazis were hoping to the last minute as the Red Armies storming Berlin that this mythical German armies would reappear. The ones that have been bashed and destroyed, and the last one's burning alive in the forest south of Berlin, and save them and counterattack them all the way back to Moscow. You know, the people like this, they tend to get more and more delusional the more you back them into a corner. They weren't exactly the most sane people to begin with, and the bigger the pressure builds, because they can't look at reality, and they don't want to hear reality, the more delusional they become. But the problem is these delusional psychopaths are the ones making decisions, at least for their countries. But, and now, by the way, so they need provocations, and they're going to up the ante. 2 days ago, as I said, in forests, Crimea, they hit a school. Thank God they didn't kill any children. But I'm sure they would have if they got the timing right. They would have. They want as much blood spilled as possible to get this big war going, so that hundreds of millions of human beings can be instantly, or not so instantly, killed off. And you are part of that carbon footprint that's going to be, curtailed. You and your children are part of that carbon footprint. So if you're still sitting on the sidelines, buddy, the clock is already chiming 12. Yeah, they gotten all the way through it, but it's already chiming. You know, time's pretty much up. Look at your kids and ask, sitting on the couch, is that going to save their lives? Do you really believe MAGA? Or in this case, well, MAGA, as Trump said, is whatever I make it because I made it up. Yeah, okay. Look it up. Trump's actually said that. MAGA, of course, existed well before Trump, but, all things are Trump. Trump is all things, in the end. He is the greatest gift to humanity, the God Emperor himself, that was ever given to humanity and this earth. And when you're dealing with such delusional psychopaths, and across the entire Western leadership, it's nothing but delusional psychopaths, sociopaths. You best start getting active one way or the other. Because it's only your kids' lives on the line, if not your own. That's nothing major if you have kids. These are the people running things. These are people running the show. And never mind the pocket monkey journalists. Most of them are too stupid to actually comprehend where this is going to go and that they're going to die along with it. Most of these journalists, modern journalists in the West, are extremely stupid people. They've got actually pretty basic low-level educations. Liberal arts in the West, in the U.S. in particular, it's hard even to call it an education. It's just a money pit and a diploma. Just diploma mills punching out these very entitled, high-opinioned, self-opinioned people that actually know very, very little of anything. That's most of the university systems these days in the West. And unfortunately, it has been that way for a very long time. It's 15, 20 years, a generation's worth, really 2 generations worth these days. So these journalists, all they know is they're getting a paycheck, and they live for the day. So that this could get them killed or their families killed, I highly doubt any of it ever enters their very limited mental capacity. I mean, these are people that have questions handed to them. They can't even come up with their own questions for the most part. They have handed questions. They don't write. Their job as a pocket monkey is to just mime intelligence and repeat the words that are written on the paper. They don't do follow-on questions. Well, if they do follow-on questions, they're pre-programmed as it is. They don't do real follow-on questions because they can't think through the answers that they're getting. They're incapable of it. Western media is not a media. It's a ministry of truth. Orwell was only partially right. He could have never imagined how far this would all get. Just like I would have never, when I left and I didn't want my, one of the reasons we left the U.S., just one of them, was and went back to Russia, besides this is my motherland, is the fact that I didn't want my kids growing up in this transhuman, sexual, well, it was, back then it was actually so pretty tame, the LGBT and all that. I went in a traditional Christian environment. And honestly, though, I could have never guessed that things would go as far as they did and have, and in some areas still continue to. This mutilation of children. No, it was just beyond me that it could actually get to that, or anything close to that. And of course, that was 15 years ago. So yeah, little did I know. Not even the darkest nightmares could have imagined that. So yeah, and then you look at where all this is going. These are the people that implemented that. These are the, these frontline people. Well, they're not really frontline. They're frontline for public consumption. Behind them are standing the actual powers, the big money, the really big transnational money. And nothing gets done. The removal of Glass-Steagall Act. The City of London was always evil. The removal of Glass-Steagall Act by Clinton, which boosted the finance sector in the U.S. from about 5-6% of GDP to about 40. Yeah, that sealed the end of that. Because we know where the money went, and who has the money has the power. That's just how it normally runs. And that's what we've got. So we've got Trump doing a full 180. He now believes Ukraine should march forward and conquer Russia. Like I said, as soon as they can reanimate the dead in mass, they may have a shot at it. Or you could throw in a couple 100,000 Americans as cannon fodder. But hey, that's probably also on the options. Just need to have a big enough flag event. So that's what we're looking at now. What's going to be the black swan? In my opinion, it'll more than likely be somewhere around the Baltics. I'm sorry, the Baltics. Yeah, the Baltic Sea, the three Baltic midgets. More likely, but that's not necessarily guaranteed though, because today there's also been an attack on the city center of Novorossiysk, which is a port city in Russia on the Black Sea. I haven't read up on what the latest casualty figures and such were, but drones, during the day, they attacked with drones into the city center. So they're looking to spill as much innocent blood as possible. This is the West, the sociopaths, to get the really blood spilling work done, or rolling forward. Cut back on the carbon, the white carbon. Think about that. God bless. By the way, as I usually forget to do, please subscribe, share. If you can support my work, by all means, I would welcome any. Have my crypto wallet, Bitcoin, in the description. But sharing is supporting too, so that is a big support too. And get the word out. For God's sakes, I mean, we really are running headlong into probably a nuclear catastrophe, at least on some level. Maybe the world will still shrink away from it if there's any intelligence left in Washington, which I doubt more and more every day. I know there's none in Europe, outside of a few small islands of intelligence. So, anyways, share, like, support if you can. God bless.